I have got to make this video. It's been a while, and my lighting situation is still horrible. I'm working down in Orange County this week, but I've been in this debate with a friend of mine, a self-proclaimed conservative, Trump supporter, etc., etc. And it's just like, I don't understand what's wrong with people. You know, when they say, oh, we can't be a socialist country, oh my God, this is going to be horrible, look at Venezuela, look at all these situations. Venezuela was doing just fine until we put sanctions on them, which is destroying their economy. Why doesn't people understand that? Why do they, it's like, jeez, man. Anyway, I'm having this debate with this friend of mine, and I tried to explain to him that we already are a socialist country. We have a lot of social programs. And I'm going to read a few things here to see if people can maybe get this, understand this a little bit. First of all, Social Security. Why do we have Social Security? Why did Franklin Roosevelt come up with this plan? It's because when we had the Great Depression, we had people dying in the streets. A lot of the older generation couldn't support themselves. We had a horrible situation, and they had to come up with something, and this was the program they came up with. It was not free. We all pay into this system with our taxes, withholding taxes on our paychecks. When I had my own company, we used to have to withhold money from the check, and we also had to match it. So if we were taking out 3% from somebody's check, we had to add a 3% also for each employee. So the burden does fall upon the business owners, but it's not that hard to deal with. So it's a necessary program. People love it. It's been moved from 65 to 68. You can't live on it, of course, but it will definitely help keep you from starving to death. And I think that's what it was really mainly designed to do. So we have Medicare, which was put into play by Lyndon Johnson. We've got, well, let me just go down this list. Okay, we got the police department, we have the fire department, we have the electrical grid, which was the electrification of the United States, which was a government program. Before this happened, the only people that got electricity were the rich, the people that could afford to have the lines run to their homes. No one else had it. You have the police department and the fire department for everybody. Everybody pays into these programs. That's a socialist program. The difference between socialism and capitalism seems to be with people is that with a pure capitalist system, when you get rid of all the social programs, only the rich can afford anything. You know, the rich get good education for the children. The poor get probably nothing. I'll just keep going through here. The electrical grid, we've got gas service for our homes, for heating, for our stoves. You've got clean water management with water being piped to each home and sewer system, trash pickup. The public schools, we got high schools and elementary schools, which are paid mostly by property taxes. We've got the roads and the highway system. I've been to countries that don't have this kind of thing, and it is a mess. In places like Mexico, it's absolutely deplorable, the conditions that some of these people live in. Now, in the rich areas, they got really nice buildings, they got really nice everything, and in the poor areas, my God, I mean, I've walked down streets where there were homes with no roofs, and you could look through the window and you could see people sitting around in there on couches, and there was no roof. They had a sheet draped over where I'm assuming that the roof had collapsed or caught on fire or something. You've got the park service, you've got flood control. for the rivers, the dam systems. You've got a big one is the military. We need a military, yes, we do. But we don't need the kind of military that we've got right now, which is the police of the world. I mean, basically what we've got is a mercenary army for banks and oil companies. Now that's what our $1 trillion a year goes for, but that's just the budget that we know about. There's probably $1 trillion more a year going into these black ops operations, these funding of covert proxy wars. I could go on, but anyway, we've got bus and mass transit. We've got the EPA. We've got welfare programs and food stamps. We are a socialist country, so what is everybody afraid of? I did some calculating on the Medicare for All situation. When I had Obamacare, my premiums were about $470 a month, but that was for a $2,000 a year deductible, and my co-pays were $90 every time I went to a doctor. And so I calculated out, it looks like Bernie Sanders' program is about 7.5% withholding tax, which with my income and the job that I have now works out to be about the same, about $480 a month. But I have no co-pays, I would have no deductible. It would be much cheaper if you spread out the costs of the system to the entire population. You get the best deal. It's like an insurance policy, basically. That's what it is. But everybody pays into it and everybody gets it. Now, I would like to see maybe a higher rate for people that are making over $50 million a year. I like the wealth tax proposals that Bernie Sanders is offering. I think it's a great idea. I know a few people that have a lot of money, and my God, they don't know what to do with it. You know, should I buy a Lamborghini or should I buy a Porsche? I mean, it's that kind of bullshit. And then they've got employees which are grinding into the dust, with barely paying a minimum wage. It's ridiculous. I mean, what is wrong with everybody? I'm just baffled. I don't know. I can't get through to this friend of mine, and we're having a texting wars right now, and he's got on this commie thing now where all the progressives are commies. What is going on with this Red Scare, McCarthyism bullshit? I don't get it. Why is everybody afraid? The Russians spend $65 billion a year on their military, and we spend over $800 billion a year on our military. What is everyone afraid of? For God's sake, we need to get some thinking going on here, some people that understand history, some people that understand reality. The media, there was something happened the other day in the media. This is a perfect example of how the media manipulates the population. And what this one thing was about Biden against Trump and Elizabeth Warren against Trump, that Elizabeth Warren and Biden were slightly behind Trump in the primary polls that were going on. They didn't mention Bernie Sanders, which is actually the one that was leading in the poll. That's a perfect example of how you can manipulate a population. So the people that are interfering with our election is the media and the Democratic Party. That's who's screwing with our elections. My God, it's not the Russians. Get it through your frickin' heads. It's not the frickin' Russians. It's our media system. That is who is manipulating our elections, and that is screwing over everybody, because who owns the media? The rich and powerful elite, the huge corporations, the military-industrial complex that makes a fortune on war. That's why you've got everybody clamoring for the situation in Syria. You've got, oh my God, we're leaving the Kurds hanging. They made it sound like that this was all of a sudden overnight. Trump decides to pull all troops out and leave the Kurds hanging to die. These peace negotiations have been going on since February. The Russians, the Kurds, the Turks, Iran, Syria, they're all involved in these talks. This has been planned. It's set up where the Kurds are going to go with the Syrians. Assad is going to stay in power. The Turks get their peace zone, which is a 20-mile wide strip all along the border between Turkey and Syria. This is working out very well. The Russians had a lot to do with it, despite what Trump says in that ridiculous speech that he made about how it's all us, everything is us, we're the greatest, we're wonderful. This guy is an absolute idiot. I don't understand what is going on in this country. What people don't see it. It just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, I had to make this video. I'm going to try and make a few more, basically on stuff like this, trying to explain what in the hell is going on, so that maybe people can have a little bit of knowledge going into this situation. So I appreciate watching. I'm going to post this on my Radical Progressive YouTube site. So I appreciate it, and have a good night. Thank you.